Libra placement. Let's get into it. So the first card you have Cancerians for today is the Queen of Pentacles. And then further says Mother. Now, if you look at the picture, this is like a completely different picture of the Queen of Pentacles. There is this queen out here. She's holding a child so close to her heart. And then there is this confetti type, I would say, kind of blessing or shower from the universe. On the table where she is, there's lots of bold items, collectibles, ornaments. Some very important, high-value, golden ornaments, collections, right? So I feel that, Cancerian, this is now, you could be the mother out here, you could be this person who's giving out the care, or you could feel cared for. It could go either ways. You could be the child who's feeling supported and cared for by the elders and your family, your mom, your dad, in general, or supported by the universe. This could be that energy, or this could be, you could be the Queen of Pentacles. That's, mothering a child or a family or a house, even a project, I would say. It's going to be different for each one of you, based on your placements. So I feel that you Cancerians are a cardinal sign. You're you're the water sign. Now, the Queen of Pentacles is an earth energy. But I feel that this love, this love is the true, I feel that this love, care, and nurturing that either you are giving or you are receiving is the true blessing, is the true value, is the true, what do you call this? The love and care that you are receiving is the true wealth, I would like to say. And you being the cardinal sign, you're very much in tune with the people that are around you, very intuitive, very empathic, very protective. The Cancerian archetype is very loving, they give freely. They love freely, they give freely. And here, if you see the confetti, to me, it looks like butterflies swarming around this, this mother-daughter duo. So I do feel that, I feel the energy of someone, and that could be you, that is, caring, that's very nurturing to their home, to their family. They're very devoted, and it's like giving off the love very freely, without any ifs and buts, without any conditions, without any approvals. This is the love that, creates that secret space, that creates that loving environment, that gives the person strength, that gives the person warmth, that space to grow, that space to feel supported, feel protected, feel loved. I feel that you are in this energy now. I feel that, I'm also getting with the planets, which is Venus and Jupiter being in your sign, your fourth house, is a sign of the archetypal Cancerian energy. So Venus and Jupiter being in your sign, being in the sign of Cancer, it's expanding that energy. So you could be looking after a lot of people or a lot of things. Venus is all things beautiful that matter to you, right? Just people, relations, emotions, house. Queen of Pentacles also is very, very, what do you call, professional at maintaining the house, cooking for people, and all the tasks that make people feel loved, warm and welcome. Now, for some of you, this could be that you're actually helping people with some kind of, monetary care. And you're generous with that, or this could be you're helping with your time, your energy, your advice, or, you're opening up your home to people, welcoming them in, cooking for them. This can also be, just spending time with your friends and family, like going out for picnics, or just, spending time together, going to restaurants, eating meals together, talking, laughing, and just sharing a good laugh and a vibe. So for some of you, it could be that as well. But this can also be that you're caring for, your people, looking after them, their well-being, their emotional well-being. Maybe you're even decorating your homes, or, bringing in flowers, or you're doing some gardening or some kind of decorative, which creates a very warm space, very welcome space for yourself and for other people. I feel that you're caring for yourself as well. Queen of Pentacles also cares for herself. You can't give from a place of exhaustion and depletion. So, and the Queen understands that. So you have your cup full over here for it to pour out into the world. And your love is your biggest asset. It's your biggest contribution, And today, everyone recognizes it, the feminine energy, the love and care, and the other qualities that the feminine archetype brings into the world was definitely in the, earlier times, it was underrated, it was, undervalued. But today, the world understands, the world celebrates. We just had Mother's Day. The world celebrates the feminine archetype that's so giving, and this gold ornaments here or collectibles is a consequence of that love, right? When people feel loved for, cared for, they focus better, they create better, they grow better, they perform better, and that leads to wealth, richness in their life. The richness of people, the richness of emotions. Of course, there is the riches that is to be had if you put in good work. Then, of course, the money is the after effect of devotion to work, right? So that is also included in this, in Queen of Pentacles. And she understands that the more you give in terms of love, it actually materializes in the form of money, wellness, and all of that. A person who is loved, who feels safe, who feels like they're protected, with the love and care of their loved ones, they perform way much more better at their place of work rather than the people that are neglected completely, So the productivity index and the returns are directly proportional to the love also that is being received. So this is a very loving, caring energy, when you don't have to say anything and your demands get met, like, people understand what you want, they understand where you're coming from, they understand what your heart is feeling without even saying a single word, is the kind of love that is shown in this card. So for some of you, this could be, just caring, at all levels for your family, for your children, and it's just the energy that I'm getting, that, when a child is sick, the kind of care that the, feminine mother archetype doles out for the child or for the family or for anyone who's sick in the family, entity or whoever, the care that is given is so therapeutic. It's so, it changes, it changes you from the soul level. It's transformative. It's a transformative care that was undervalued for so long. Now, for some of you, this could be that you are new moms and you are, kind of taking time off to spend with your newborn kids. Or it could be a dad who's spending time, kind of the maternity leave. So for some of you, it could be that as well. And, the Queen of Pentacles works out in so many ways, when new parents go on maternity leave, their leaves are paid. They're still paid some amount. Irrespective of, they are paid some amount, some portion of their monthly wages. When they go on a maternity leave or paternity leave, whatever that is, the money still comes in. So for some of you, it could be that kind of support that you're getting from your organizations. Now, for some of you, this could be the energy of, coming from a space of care, whether that's for your family, friends, or even your projects. When we do things, specifically in leadership positions, or even it doesn't have to be leadership or any contributor, you could be individual contributors to your team, but once you realize that, the work that you do, when it comes from a space of love, of care for the team, of care for the system, for the organization, for the city, for the country, that love shows, it shows, and it changes, how things work in that specific energy. Like, if this is about an organization, when you put your love and care into it, your team sees it, your peers see it, your bosses, and everybody sees the kind of love that you actually have for the work that you do. And it creates wonders, Believe it or not, people observe, people notice, and they trust you with your emotional depth. Maybe that was not a thing before, but now those kind of aspects are getting recognized now. The ability to care, to be empathic and compassionate with your peers, and to have like a softer attitude, to be a warm people's person that people can be comfortable, coming to asking for help, and they can trust you. So for some of you, it's like you're being recognized for the energy that you bring towards work. For some of you, this could be your personal work, business, or projects, or your hobbies that you're tending to. Now, for some of you, this can also be that you are teachers, you're caregivers. You could have like child care centers, or working for some, or you could be working for the elderly centers. Or you could be working, as part of school and college institutions, where your love for education and educating children, or teaching them some kind of a, subject, or sports, or crafts and art, brings you a lot of satisfaction, And when it comes to the teachers, their endless love that they have for students, the amount of care that they give, amount of attention that they put into each and every kid, that's commendable, that's, there's no words to thank the teachers and institutions that care for the children or the elderly, cannot be measured, cannot be repeated in any way. So for some of you, you could be into those institutions where you're giving back to the community, to the elders, or to the children. And that is the biggest act of our, the way to express your love, because you play a role in shaping the children, especially the ones that are associated with, education institutes. You're shaping the student. You're leaving a legacy behind of good students, the kind of values and, the participation and all of those things, the shape the students, they create a better world. So that comes from a space of nourishing the environment, nourishing the students, and or this would be caregiving for the elderly. And that how much value it adds, to the happiness index, to the well-being of people, to the satisfaction of society, which no amount of wealth can ever compensate for. So in general, this is a very warm energy, it's a very loving, caring energy, whether it's you giving to other people or other people, even the reciprocity, receiving it is also going to be very important. The queen is a receptive energy. So you're also open to receiving, I feel. Or if you're not, you probably will be, or you should be. So receiving, so that you don't pour from an empty cup, we can receive. It doesn't have to be like apples to apples, receiving and giving, but if you give us the love out and you get it back in return, that nourishes you as well and keeps your cup full, so that you can always, look after other people as well. So I feel it's a very, it's a great energy, it's like the loving legacy. It's like the loving, loving environment that creates, that raises the vibration, that creates more love and, the good things. The next card you have, Cancerians, is the duck and the chrysanthemum, and it further says luck. Now, if you look at the picture, there is this beautiful duck over here. It's not shown as floating on the water, but we know how, where ducks easily float on the water. It's their territory. They know how to float, but their legs are paddling beneath the water. So there is a grace, below the water there is struggle, but on, above the surface, there is a grace to the ducks. And they're so comfortable in that terrain. They know when to dive. We've seen ducks dive. We know that they come up to the surface as well. So they're very comfortable in that area. And I feel that's the energy of the duck. It's like just, just float. Just go with the flow. I feel going with the flow is the energy, underlying current of the duck. And also, if you look at the picture, there is like, the wings are wide open. It's like, it's like a warm hug from the duck, right? It's a warm embrace kind of an energy. And if you see that the undertone is purple. So, and then there's this beautiful golden chrysanthemums. Chrysanthemums are actually very, sacred, or I would say very flowers of, a good fortune, of abundance. And so is the duck in certain cultures. Duck is on its very, lucky charm. So I feel that over here for you Cancerians, with this open-hearted energy, I feel that you're open to experiences. You're open to people. You are, welcoming things into your sphere, into your life right now. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, when we welcome the energies, when we welcome things and what the universe sends us with, an open heart, that's what makes things work, which appear to be love, but it's actually our surrender, our open-heartedness, that we are ready to receive. We are open to newer experiences. So I do feel you're in that open energy right now, where you're maybe you're open to ideas, or open to work of any kind, or open to experiences, studying. You're going where life is taking you. And that's the biggest, energy of being open. And the universe recognizes it by sending you that abundance, So, yeah, it's a lucky time. It's a time of good fortune. And I also feel that the abundance which is coming in will also bring in a lot of material, I would say opportunities or advancements or growth. So, and I also feel that, you have kind of like going with the flow. It's like you don't have any expectations. You're not very rigid about, how things should work out or what exactly should happen. And I feel that that's the biggest energy of releasing our control. When you stop holding on tightly to things, that's what makes the universe work in your favor. So right now you are in situations where you're actively working towards building something. You have positioned yourself to receive, to work, to experience new things. And, it's like being at the right place at the right time is kind of the energy. And specifically when Venus and Jupiter are in your sign right now. So, and Venus is all about loving energy, beautiful energy. You could be beautifying things. You could be, and Jupiter gives you the growth energy, expansion. So there's a lot of blessings in your sign right now. And I also feel that you could be maybe you're receiving things, or you're getting opportunities that are unexpected. Maybe it's unexpected from unexpected places, but it could be from people as well. It could be from your connections. It could be that you're at the right place, like I said, at the right time. Or saying the right thing even, meeting the right people even. But I feel that somehow these opportunities are either coming through some of your contacts, or maybe it's like, it could be in, maybe through your family. Maybe it's through word of mouth, or maybe you're in professions that are, in some kind of providing care, whether it's for children, whether it's through teachers or daycare centers or nurses and doctors and, senior care or elderly care or something like that. So some of you could be in those areas and your opportunities are coming through those connections. But because you're open to, receiving opportunities, in any way, shape, or form, you don't have any conditions laid out on how you should receive or where you should receive them. So that's why they're coming towards you. The opportunities are coming towards you. Now, this can also be abundance in your home, because fourth house archetype is that of home, a family. So for some of you, the opportunities or money could be through family, could be inheritances, could be that you yourself are, have saved up money for buying homes or investing into some kind of finances. But there's a lot of luck factor out here, whether it's, through for money or for relationships or welcoming the right people. A lot of luck out there for you. The only caveat I see with this energy is, especially for you Cancerians, because see here, duck is like open-hearted wings and all of that, but the life of Cancer is a crab which has a hard shell. So, you might run into the risk of closing yourself off because you think that the opportunities or things that are happening for you are too good to be true, and it's hard for you to believe that it's happening for you. So I do feel that this might make some of you like really, anxious, like, oh my God, this has come. I don't know what to do with this opportunity. And, you start talking yourself out of it, like, no, this can't be the right one, or I don't deserve it, or, something definitely is in the fine print, or something will definitely go wrong. So I do feel that maybe because of the past experiences also, this kind of energy could play out for you where you kind of close yourself off to opportunities. So that's you have to be really mindful that, is it your past experience or is it your hurt self which is coming to such conclusions? Or is there a real problem with the opportunity or the situation? Is something that is going to be different for each one of you, and it's for you to decide for yourself. Because, when we've been through difficult situations, we kind of see every situation as difficult. We're like, no, this can't be true, this can't be right. But if you just switch up your mindset, and if you, don't come from a place of fear and you're hopeful about it, then you can actually turn even negative situations in your favor into positive situations. So it just depends on your mindset. And I would say just come from a positive mindset to receive this opportunity well. And then when it comes to this duck energy, you see, look, it's a decorated duck. I'm getting very Embark kind of vibes, very regal kind of vibes. So I don't know if you are, working in any kind of regal professions, kingly professions, or you're rising up the ladder in your corporate, or, maybe people are rising you up to the throne. You could be in any profession, media, corporate, or anything. But this is like, high level, like going up. It's like a victory kind of an energy is what I'm picking up. Also, the duck energy is like very, luck for the family, luck for luck in love. Even the chrysanthemums, they are like flowers used in weddings and, just for good love, for good fortune, for family in general, or partnerships, personal and professional. So chrysanthemums are lucky flowers as well. Now, for some of you, this could be that you are, you could be moving for some of you, not for all of you, but for some of you, this opportunity is actually to create a family, or this could be whether creating a family of your own, or even, your neighborhood that feels like a family, or a team that feels like a family, or something like that, where people are cooperate with each other, they trust each other, they understand each other, where they connect better with each other. So when people work in those kind of environments versus people that are, just aloof and by themselves, the people that, they connect together, they come together, thrives better, they do better. For some of you, you could be, going to such places or meeting such people or working in such companies where people like to interact more with each other versus stay aloof or away from each other. So it's a good time here, Cancerian. So open yourself up. Like, I feel you're already open, whether it's to, good jobs or projects or business proposals, or maybe just meeting people, maybe to socialize, invites, buying homes, whatever it you have been, thinking about, deciding upon, looking and researching. I feel that things are starting to work out for you. Now, some of you could actually be fascinated by ducks or, live by the ponds where you see a lot of ducks, or you're developing a new interest in ducks in some way, shape, or form. So I do feel that there is a change for you Cancerians from the protective crab that is so closed up and defensive to becoming a duck, which is, kind of open-hearted, vulnerable, and this could be the environment where you are. If it's not your energy, Cancerians, you might be seeing people around you that are more generous, that, they are more open-hearted, they come and talk, or, they just invite, they like to meet up, they like to, just enjoy, the small things. Or they just like to, just take everything in stride, take things as they come. So you could be working with people that, are creating that kind of environment around you. That's for some of you. And the last category, Cancerians, you have is a message from Cosmos. And it says, you have seen my descent. Now watch my rising. Further, it says, breakthroughs, success, overcoming all obstacles. And then there is this hot air balloon. It's like you are on your way up here, Cancerians. So it's a really powerful time for you, and it's a powerful rise as well for you. Because you've been through the rough times, you've been through the rough waters, and we already saw that with the duck doubling its wings. It's like you understand what, I feel that, with the duck openness and all of that, you have missed out on a lot of opportunities in the past because you were closed off. So you know what missing out on opportunities is. And now you are transforming all of those, or transmuting, I would say, situations to create opportunities and positive experiences for you. So now with this hot air balloon, of course, you're rising above. And you're rising above in every way. You are kind of rising above the challenges. You're rising above anything that was holding you back. And the struggles that we go through, in those moments we feel like everything's over, nothing will get done, and this is the end of our story. But here it is, the universe telling you that all those struggles, all those challenges were here to grow you, for your growth, physical growth, spiritual growth, whatever that is, it was for your growth. Then with this energy, it's like you're stepping up. You are now feeling confident that you're able to overcome so much. You've turned all those disappointments around, or you're turning it around, and you might have felt like, really heavy while you're enduring all of that. But the thing is that you persevered, Cancerians. You trusted yourself, you trusted the situation, you trusted the higher powers that, it won't, if the good and the bad times, of course, they don't last forever, nothing is permanent. So you trusted that you're going through these hardships, and one day you will break through these. And that's what exactly I feel happens, or it already has happened. So when you overcome the challenges that appear to be, like mountains initially, but when you overcome it, when you climb that mountain and climb down on the other side, you're a transformed person. You're more wiser, you're more stronger, you are more trusting in your abilities. And I feel that this whole, the entire journey up till now has made you into a stronger person. Even when you're open-hearted and even when you're vulnerable, you're still strong at the core. So I do feel that, and now things are shaping up, they're coming along, there is success, there is growth, there is positively recognition, and then ultimately it's the victory over challenges and and you having the faith in yourself that you can overcome even things that appear to be impossible at that moment. So great energy here, Cancerians. Those are your messages and hope you enjoyed them. Now moving on to the sign of Scorpio. So the first card for today, Scorpio, you have is the Page of Swords, and it further says bright. Yeah, so look at this page, like a young person, but loaded with this sword facing upwards, which is, when a sword facing upwards, it's like, getting the answers, getting the clarity, turning to the ethers, or just, breakthrough moments, aha moments. And then this page, this girl, the warrior, also has a small knife, or kind of a little bit of a blade, around, tied to her hip area. And if you see the picture, there is, like, behind there is some kind of a fire, but it's in the behind, it's in the past. So I do feel that for you, Scorpio. Now, the Page of Swords energies related to the sword suit, which is the air suit, all about learning intelligence, sharpness, analyzing things, learning things, and newer perspectives, newer ideas, how you process the information that is there. Even getting the information or researching the information all comes under the domain of the sword suit. So I feel like you have gathered all the data, or you will be gathering, and that is going to give you a lot of clarity, Scorpio. And you are the fixed water sign, 8th house energy. And see how beautiful this is. Gemini is your 8th house. And in general, in the zodiac wheel, you are the 8th house archetype, Scorpios. So there is a lot of depth, and, oh, this is so beautiful. Sun is going into Gemini, which means that, the intelligence, which the Gemini, of course, being the air suit, also brings in its own characteristics, right, of understanding, curiosity, learning, and, being smart about it. Also being very intuitive about it, because you are a fixed water sign. So you have the depth, you have the feelings, you have the understanding. And at the same time, you have like a fresh set of eyes, newer mindset, the ability to learn things, understand things, the ability to ask those questions. Your mind is always working, towards solutions, ideas. What's the next thing you want to learn? Where is the next thing you want to go? What should we master next? What should we accomplish next? That's what the pages do. And there's fire behind here, so you've been through it, This smartness, this perspective, I feel, is coming because you've been through some kind of heated moments in the past. But you have come through that, and every time we go through these rough moments, they teach us a lot, so we're already ready in our head, not on guard, but we have learned so much through that heat, through those heated experiences, that we're kind of, we kind of know a lot. You're also very wise. So I do feel that in the next 2 days, or you already could be in that in the energy of where you have been through rough times, you survived all those difficult challenges, and now you are moving on to the next one. But what have you learned through being in that fire is that you need to be prepared at all times. You need to be ready at all times with data, with knowledge, with learning things, with asking questions, gathering data, 360 degrees. That's what you learn from the fire. So, and I feel that, yeah, the fire is in the past. Whatever went wrong, whatever went downhill is already done. It's already in the past. But now you're looking to move forward. You're looking towards the brighter future. You're looking towards the clearer skies here, right? So now pages are, of course, learning energies, but the good thing about pages is that their ideas are not set in stone, like the king and queen energy, like, because king and queen are the masters, right? So they generally, like, they've already tried and tested and they know it all and they feel they know it all. Sometimes even the kings and the queens need some kind of page perspectives, to see things or see beneath the surface and all of that. But the point here is this page energy is always about fresher ideas, newer ways of looking at things. The gap analysis, asking the questions, why, where, why did this not happen, or why are we doing this, or why should it be done, or, this, that, and the third. There's so many questions that can get you the clarity which people are afraid to ask. Sometimes, people just assume things, and when, like, you, Scorpio, ask those questions, and people are amazed that, these things have not been discussed out as a team or have not been brainstormed as a team. So I feel that you're very sharp mind. You have a sharp sense of looking at things. The way you look at things is different. And I feel that you also are very, you also say it out loud. Whatever you learn, you're very communicator. You pass on the information, and it's good because it's coming from clarity. Whatever you're saying is not just shooting in the dark. It's coming from a space of clarity. It's coming from a space of understanding and depth because you're the eighth house, So I do feel that, maybe things have been confusing or part of the business of, at home. Could be at home also, could be in your personal life where things have been confusing, but now you're getting answers, And yes, when we talk about things that people don't want to talk about, it gets a little uncomfortable, but it's always necessary, You're asking questions that are really necessary. Because, sometimes when we get the answers, it completely changes the situation, completely changes the understanding of it. So that's a great energy to be in that. Some of you could be learning new crafts, new skills, new subjects. And so for some of you, you might be like questioning the bosses and the peers or the leaders or something like that. Like, why are you doing this and all of that? And well, some people will hesitate because they feel that they will be looked down upon, like, oh, you don't have that information, or you don't understand what's being spoken. And sometimes, of course, pages are a new energy, so they do hesitate sometimes. They're like, oh, you know what? Maybe, it was something I was not aware about, or should I even be asking those questions? But that's what the page energy does, irrespective of what has been discussed or what not. If you don't understand, you don't understand. It's okay to ask a question twice, or it's okay to ask if you're not understanding something, right? So here, there is a strength, there's a bravery, there's a courage associated with this page, especially the posture and the person. Looks like a warrior. So this warrior is ready, to ask the questions, to answer the questions, to cut through things, to be very discerning. It's a very discerning energy because they're able to tell the things apart, what is real, what's not real. So you do definitely, and Scorpios, you already have a sharp mind. And now here with the Page of Swords energy, this is the most ultimate intellectual combination that anyone could ever have, with your depth of feelings and emotions underneath there. And then your clarity of thought, the way you communicate, and what you communicate will just hit the nail on the head. So, but the only caveat with this, of course, the sword energy. With all sword energy is to use the right words, the right timing, the right tone, the right body language to convey the message. Otherwise, what's the point? The heat in the back, it tells you what you should not be saying and how you should not be saying it, because maybe you said something in the past that caused a start a fire of some sort, and then it's hard to put out fires, right? You don't want to burn bridges. So instead of smirkiness, especially when you've learned so much or you know so much, instead of being that smirky person, instead, say it in ways that people actually receive it well, right? Without feeling hurt or without feeling that they look dumb. Nobody wants to receive that kind of a message. So how you say it and the tone you say it, the body language you use, and the way of communication is going to really matter in the next, whatever you're trying to communicate. Now, for some of you, this could be that you're gathering data to make some kind of investments or to make some kind of decisions. So I feel that you will move forward with any kind of decisions because you know a lot. You have those fresh eyes. For some of you, you could be working in companies that are actually trying to analyze. It's like established systems kind of going through makeovers, Paige will come and see and ask a questions like, why was it done like this? Do we need it now? What is the cost of it and all of that? So there is gap analysis, there is re-evaluation of legacy systems, I would say, in the office world or in the corporate world. And some of you might be doing that, analyzing legacy systems. Or you could be out in the field in marketing or in journalism, trying to get the data so that you're able to convey it and in the media to the public. So this is a great energy, Scorpio, because you will be learning things, you will be discovering things, still a lot of breakthroughs, things will move forward with your sharp understanding. And also I feel that people are seeing how much you can research things, how much data you can gather, how much you can analyze them, how you can connect the dots. So they're praising your intellectual stance. You appear bright to the people outside. So the only thing is because, sometimes when we're too sharp and all of that, it turns, sharpness turns into bluntness or into, people see as a fox clever, but that's not what it is, because you being the water sign, you also have a depth of emotion. So you're coming from a very solid ground, from a solid place, of feeling it righty. But people will definitely see the Page of Swords energy of how you have the ability to look at things from your or different perspectives and how you're able to communicate it. And I feel that the only thing is, whatever you discover, whatever you want to communicate, don't do it right off, like you learn something and say it immediately, blurt it out. No, I think you should sit with it for a few hours, compose yourself, use the right words, the right moment, and then convey your observations instead of just immediately going and spitting out everything that you have learned. The next card you have, Scorpio, is the Coyote and the Tura. And further says deceit. So, yeah, look at this. There's a black background. Of course, there is this, trumpet-like white flowers. That's it, the Tura flower. And for those of you that know about the Tura, it's a little bit like a dangerous, harmful plant because, it is a plant and some kind of mild extraction is highly used in those hallucinating drugs, and that's why it's very dangerous. It's a dangerous flower, even though it looks very beautiful, but it's dangerous. That's what they do. Tura is, and Coyote out here, sometimes trickster, sometimes cunning, wise, whatever this is. And there's a dark background, obviously. So dark is like a little bit of a dapper energy, and it says here deceit. But I feel that for you, Scorpio, you had the Page of Swords energy before this, which means that you are seeing through the BS. You are seeing through the deceit. You're not being deceived. You can see what the deceit is about. You can see who this coyote is. And I feel that because you've been through this experience, you can tell exactly what the deceit is and where it's coming from and how it's played out. So that's what I feel, you're kind of gathering information and you figure out what exactly was presented, what was truth, what was hidden, what was masked, and all of those details, seeing beneath the surface and understanding what the truth is. So for most of you, that's what I feel, that you're able to see things more clearly, between what is delusional, what is real, what is superficial. But here the caveat is, do not really look at everything, from a place of suspicion, because with this energy, once we kind of sense that, things were underhanded and people went behind our backs and did it, and now there's a cover of our people are not presenting it completely or honestly, we kind of get suspicious about everything, especially if it's at work or even in the personal life at home. So don't get into that energy because, with the Page of Swords, you exactly know which situation is the problem or which situation is not truly honest as people are trying to make it to be. They might be saying something. They might be doing something different. They might be presenting it differently. It might be something else. The fine prints and all of that is the coyote energy. So with the Page of Swords, you already know exactly what's going on. Who's saying the truth and who's covering up, and, are people saying what they mean? Or it's just like, a pretense or a drama going on and something like that. Because you are getting to, you're getting the data, you're getting a lot of revelations, you're seeing a lot of things. And the good thing is that you now have the courage, the smartness to tell the right from wrong and good from bad and true from false. It's like what living in an AI world, it's hard for us to tell. The deep fake, you can't even tell what's going on in the world is for real or not. So I think there's a lot of negotiations going on around that as well. So that's that says an edgy actually, especially with the AI images, like the things that are being presented are in a different light than what actually it could be. So. But, if this is not your energy, Scorpio, this could be the environment around you where you are playing coyote, So you have to ask this yourself. It could play both ways. This is like a double-edged sword sometimes, coyote energy. Like, are you the one that's presenting or that's kind of playing it out like, oh, this is that, or you're showing yourself as someone, or with someone who has a certain kind of skill, knowledge, or some kind of person who's this, that, and the third, whereas truly you're kind of like that, but not truly what you're showing. So are you speaking your truth? Are you presenting yourself as the truth? Or are you putting up appearances? Or are you kind of, presenting yourself in a different way than what you truly are is something that you might also look into, with this water energy. It's like going within, seeing like, am I doing something unlike that makes me appear like this to other people? So are you performative in any way, shape, or form? Then it's something that you will be able to figure it out. But for the most part, I feel that, coyote is like nothing to be feared about. They're very wise. They know how to say what to say. So when you know things, when you discover things, just hold it to yourself. Don't immediately announce it. Hari mentioned that with the painted swords. Like immediately you learn something, don't go spill it out. And just hold it with yourself and see how things are going to go. See what comes off next. See how the situation unfolds further. I mean, it's good to have this extra vision which this coyote is giving to you. And also because the sun is entering into the Gemini, which is like, Gemini is a communicative sign. So be mindful that you don't immediately spill out everything that you learn, Just hold it for a few hours, a few days, and use it and say it at the right time. Now, some of you don't even need to say it. Just knowing what the truth is makes a whole difference, especially when you have to make decisions or make some judgment calls, So use that information in those moments. Not everything needs to be announced. Also, I feel that it's a good time to, especially if it comes to a specific situation, it's good to hear all points of view, information from all sources, because sometimes people twist words, and make it look like something else. So once you hear it from different people, then you can kind of connect the dots to see exactly what might be happening. So I do feel that in the next few days, there is a lot of learning, there's a lot of experiencing, and through that, you will pick up some, especially with your Scorpio 8th house, deep intelligence energy, you will be able to, tell like, what is right, what's wrong, some kind of like a lie detector kind of energy I'm getting. So some of you could be into those professions as well, where you're able to pick up subtle hints, like the body language or what people say and what people do. Because especially the ones that are putting up appearances, it's hard to always kind of catch up your actions to what you present yourself to be. And I feel that you're watching for those small slip-ups and misrepresentations, and you're like, oh, this person said this, but doesn't do really that. So maybe they're trying to put up some kind of a performance, So for some of you, you might be watching people closely, or you might be, assigned to get more data in and kind of figure out what's going on in a certain situation. But also, looking at your own self, own self will also help you get some answers that you probably were looking for. Now, some of you might actually be looking at, presentation styles, or you might be looking at what's presented versus what's real, especially the social media, right? And even the movies, I would say. Movies is also like a kind of a coyote energy too, because people, they play different characters, but they're completely different from the characters they play. And we kind of mistake them for their identities of what the characters they play in movies. Like, we assume people are a certain type of way because they play a certain type of character on screen. And you kind of learn that, oh, this person is so nice on TV and plays this nice character, but behind the scene there's something different, yeah? So some of you might be in that energy as well. Yeah, if you've seen that, a movie which is called Parasite, it's a very beautiful South Korean movie, and it's very, very, I feel it's a perfect coyote energy. Plays out in every character, this kind of deception, families deceiving each other and all of that. So what's that movie, might take away a thing or two. It was really beautifully portrayed, this coyote energy. Now, for some of you, you probably need to keep an eye out on the people that you're surrounded with, whether your team or whether you're, your relationships or whatever, your friendships, your neighborhoods, whatever that is, to make sure that people are not in a performative energy, like saying something else, doing something else, or meaning something else. And then, they say, oh, for some of you, can we figure out, like, people don't even see the right things. They think, oh, you know what, this is a true, I'm not going to go for it. And when you go, you figure that the person is already there for the show, for something like that, So for some of you, you could be working for companies that are now understanding their coyote behavior. Like, they say, oh, we're doing the best practices and everything, these labor laws and all of that, and they have so many caves, but underneath, when you're working for them in the different teams, and you're seeing the ground reality of how the work is getting done, and you're like, this company says something else, is projecting something else, but then the actual way when it comes to ground reality, they don't follow what they preach. So some of you could be in those situations where you're trying to get people accountable by gathering all this data and assessing and analyzing things, and then we kind of preparing reports and talking to people. Some of you, it could be that as well. Now, some of you could be watching some kind of reality unfold for people where, they probably presented facts in a certain type of way, and then the actual thing was something else, cover-ups, misinterpretation, or presenting facts in you're using different words and, completely twisting the narratives. It happens a lot on media, on news, and journalism, where, facts are kind of twisted and turned. So some of you might be discovering that. Maybe some of you are journalists and you're uncovering all of that. Like, it was presented, but it was something different. And let me just, circle back with that and then present it in a different way. For some of you, it could be that as well. But I still appreciate this energy of coyote, because you already, the coyote energy knows exactly, the trick behind and what people say, how they present, and, where they kind of make their mistakes, where they see things, and then they don't do it in that way. They don't follow through. A lot of exposés happening, Scorpio, and because you already have X-Ray being the 8th house archetype, you'll pick up things like really fast. Sometimes it's better to hold up on what you see and understand versus publishing it. Just having the information and having the clarity itself sometimes, serves the purpose. For some of you, I feel that you're also kind of interpreting the text, the emails, what people say, you're kind of interpreting, like, oh, this person said, happy to help or something like that. And maybe they were kind of coming from a sarcastic point of view, or, maybe they were like, oh, you know what, I did this for you, but you didn't return the favor to me, or something like that. You might be kind of trying to interpret what the words are behind but the real meaning is behind the words or the emails or text that might have been written nicely. It appears good on the surface, then it doesn't appear harsh or doesn't use harsh words, but they're trying to convey some kind of meaning, you know, which might be a little deep or rough. And the last card for today, Scorpio, you have is a message from Cosmos. And it says, where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Rough time, good outcome, everything will work out okay. So here we go. There is a tent and looks like a campground. Maybe this place got ruined, but you already saw with your page of swords, there's fire in the background. So, of course, something got destroyed, something got burned, something got ruined. But then there's a lot that got learned out of it, and that is like maybe there is a blessing in disguise of something going so wrong, like you've been through the experience and you came out finding a treasure through it, something like that. So the rough times will teach us so much. But here it says like it might feel like rough, you might feel like harsh, but then here the outcomes of it are going to be really positive. And things are going to work out. Even though there is a deceit, you're seeing through the deceit. You might be shaken up a little bit, but eventually what you learn from that is going to be a treasure. Whatever you take away from that is going to be a treasure. So the tent over here in this picture, it just says that everything that you enjoyed, it was just, temporary. It was not like something like permanent or something. It was a temporary thing. And that's what it is. Challenges, they come, they go, they teach us something, they grow us, but just holding on to the faith that positive times are going to come ahead is something that, keeps us, keeps us working through it every single day. And, setbacks are nothing but the planetary arrangements that come under opposition aspect, so that, you understand, you take away something positive from it, you grow from it, So I feel that you have been through it, you've been strong, you've been constantly adapting to changing situations, you have stayed, strong and patient, and I feel because of that, the universe is now ready to bring positive outcomes, to reward you for it. So it's a great energy here, Scorpio. Things I want to work out. You have gained a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and if you're feeling heavy through this, if you kind of feel like teary-eyed, if you cried a bit, I feel that all of that is going to get resolved very, very soon. Because it says here everything will be okay. So better final results and outcomes are coming up for you. You might not be able to see it fully right now. It's working behind the scenes, but very soon you'll be able to see the hidden blessings behind every rough situation you have endured. So Scorpio, those were your messages and hope you enjoyed them. Now moving on to the sign of Pisces. So the first card, Pisces, which today you have is the Knight of Cups, but it's in the reverse for you, and it further says Epicurean. Okay, so Cups is your suit, the Piscean archetypal energy, 12th house, mutable water. Now, if you see in the reverse, it's a little bit of a deeper energy out there. If you see, there's like shades of orange, yellow, purple. And then there is this, this cup in the center that this knight is holding. It is inverted. So I feel that, the Knight of Cups in the upright is like, kind of wearing rose-tinted glasses, more of an idealist, like wants to see a certain thing. Here, they are everywhere. Scattered energies, whether it's in creativity or in, emotional space, a little bit of a scattered energy. But I feel in the reverse for you, Pisces, it's like you are now kind of taking a stock of that, you're examining yourself. You're examining things deeply rather than just, surface superficially, right? So, yeah, I feel that you're trying to stay focused now, or there is a need to stay focused rather than distract yourself with 100,000 things, or we go here, there, everywhere to find happiness, a satisfaction, or whatever you're looking for. Instead of being scattered, I feel that now you're kind of a feeling, kind of getting more centered. You're trying to evaluate, like, what do you really want? What really makes you happy? What really fills your cup? Because Piscean archetypal energy is a little bit dreamy, right? Neptune, it was your ruler, and then Jupiter. You're all about, happiness and depth and emotional space and emotional happiness and warmth and all of that, which is good. But then anything which gets scattered, or, anything we call excess of anything, kind of wants you to understand what exactly that you want, Nothing excess is good. So here, this is an energy where you need to recalibrate your inner space. It's like it's like, for example, if you're traveling, right? So you want to travel like to 100 places. I mean, what's the point? You will burn out. It's not pleasurable. It's better to focus on one place, go there, enjoy for a few days or a week or 10 days, enjoy every bit of that experience, that place. And then, after a few months, choose another place that you have time to enjoy a certain city, the vibes, without being rushed. Gather all the memorabilia and, create memories over there. Come back, rest, relax, process the whole experience, and then be ready for the next one. So I feel that you're pulling all that energy back this week, or you're needing to do that. So I feel that this Epicurean energy, with the sun entering into the archetypal Gemini energy, which is about processing, learning, processing, understanding, communicating, and all of that. I feel I feel that in the next few days you are trying to understand, like, what are you doing? Where are you going with all of this? I do feel you're trying to process something. Like for example, if you are into a creative project, or maybe you're trying to, you're in the dating scene, or you're trying to meet people, And I feel that maybe you're just, scattering your energies, being so many people that, now you have to come back and decide, like, what exactly do you want, It's like not sustainable to go out and spend time with so many people at the same time, even though you might have been just exploring your options, but then it's not sustainable, right? So I feel that after those experiences, you want to just understand, what do you want? What is true to you? What is genuine? What fills your cup? What makes sense? What's genuine? What's, the good things, whatever that you want? What's soulful? Similarly, if there's too many activities that you are spread too thin, or you have been, like maybe you're on a computer and you have like 100,000 tabs open and you don't know what to do with it. Like you're just floating around in all those tabs, doing nothing, jumping and hopping from one subject to another, not completing one specific thing. So it's like that kind of energy. So I do feel that in the next few days, you are going to understand exactly what you need. And once you get the answer to that, then you're going to move forward, which makes complete sense. Because otherwise things are not sustainable. You need to recalibrate your efforts, your energy, without burning out. For some of you may be understanding, like, your own inner world, like how you operate, what is that emotions that you feel, what is the patterns, or, anything related to a recurring thing. You might be trying to understand yourself, like the patterns that you exhibit all the time. So it's a good thing, self-assessment, self-examination, especially when you feel you're too stretched thin, or, your energy is scattered. It's the best thing to do is take a break, ground yourself, center yourself, and then do that analysis. in order to just save yourself some trouble of being so scattered. Now, for those of you that are creatives, you might have like one painting going on that's 70% complete. You might have, be, kind of doing some other craft work, creating quilts. That's another 50% done. And then you might be painting a wall, which is 30% done. So this Knight of Cups in the reverse is asking you to just see, don't start anything more. See what is half done. See what you can wrap up. So this is like a wrap-up energy, like complete whatever you got going instead of starting anything new. For some of you, this could be like, what is it that actually makes you happy? Sometimes if you feel like, especially in the social media, if you're looking at glamorous doing things, glamorous places, glamorous experiences, and we want to be there. And then when you go spend all the amount to be there, and you're like, oh, this is it? Like, I thought it was going to give me some other kind of a satisfaction, or it's going to hit me in a different way, that satisfaction, that happiness peak, but I'm not getting it. So for some of you may be realizing that happiness is not really about spending big and going to big places and curating all of those fun stuff. It's, you can have happiness and find happiness even in the simple things like sitting out at next to a restaurant, or just relaxing with your loved ones and watching a nice movie, or just, walking out and going for picnics and things like that. So that's what this Epicurean energy is about. Anything excess, too much luxury. Like even, there was an era of all these luxury bags and clothes and all of that, and accumulation and hoarding of all of it. And then people come to realize that it's just taken up more space and burned out all the money, which could have been used to grow some assets or something like that, So that's what the Epicurean energy is, because Epicurus energy in general is about being modest, not frugal, but finding joy and happiness in the simplest things. And I feel that this being in the reverse, the Epicurus simplicity being in the reverse, you're trying to go find glamorous things and big emotions and all of that in different places, which, I don't know, you're trying to see like, oh, I've been there, done that. I'm not finding the pleasure or the happiness that I thought I would by spending so much money or by traveling so much or burning myself out so much or trying this, that, and the third, but I'm still not happy. So it's time to come back home, to relax, to take it easy. For some of you, I feel that you might be looking at your own house, like how much stuff have you accumulated, and is that giving you real happiness? That sometimes when we're, in a mood, we will binge shopping, we order things left, right, and when they come, and then we, the money is spent, then after a few days or weeks or months, we realize, what's the point in this? I thought it'd make me really happy. I thought it'll make the house look glam or look Neil, or make Neil look glam, but nothing of that sort is happening. So what a waste of time and energy and finances and budget and all of that. Similarly for investment stocks, like maybe some stock is like shining bright and you look like, oh, this company is growing so much and I should invest. And then you're like, oh, after a few months, when it doesn't do well, you're like, oh, I thought it would just do well. So something like that, taking stock of what you have, what really makes sense and what is complicated and what you thought would give you something and hasn't. And at the same time, wrapping up things that you had started, so many things that you got going on scattered. So you got to just complete it, wrap it up, and take it slow because, it's like, I feel this Knight of, the Knight of Cups in the upright is like on a certain quest on a cheese, finding this, hopping from one thing to another. What's going to make me happy? This is going to make me happy going here, there, everywhere. But this Knight in the reverse, it's like, you know what, let me just take it easy. One thing at a time, I don't want to like meet 200 people, just one person and have that good time. Talk, make sense, have those conversations that that makes it a soulful meetup. Instead of just, just going from one to the next, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make you happy. It just burns you out. And it takes a pleasure of meeting people. It just takes a pleasure away. So I feel that you're now starting to recalibrate yourself, connecting more with things that really make sense, that really make you happy. What's genuine, what's fake, what's not, the glitter, the glam, everything that glitters is not gold. is a kind of vibe that this night is giving me in the reverse. The next card you have, Pisces, is the Author and the Captail, and it says peace. This is a very cute otter. Look, I mean, it looks like it's just like, it's been called up in this structure created by the captails. But so much at peace, all just, so much at peace. So I feel that Pisces, for you, I feel you've been here, there, everywhere. Now, before this energy, you have the Knight of Cups in the reverse, and it was a similar energy to wrap things up because you have too many appointments, or you have too much going on, too many tabs open, too many activities that you've been participating, too many things that you've been learning, doing, everything. Tired, here, there, everywhere. Now it's time for you to rest up. So I do feel that in the next few days, and especially for you Pisces, you are 12th house archetype, right? And there's a lot of depth, watery depth, emotional depth. And 12th house is the sum of all the houses that come before it. It's a long journey. So I feel that you have been, here, there, everywhere, doing a lot, learning a lot, navigating difficult situations, and now something is completed. It's at the World card over here because it looks like a World card to me in the traditional tarot. So I feel that this is, just finally you feeling happy that you completed something. It's all done, wrapped up. And now you can sit back and relax. So you're not in a rush. You're just about, piecing it out. Just, just curling up. Maybe you're curling up, in your bed, in your, couch, whatever it is. But, knowing that whatever you wanted to do, you've done, you've completed. And now you can peacefully relax, be yourself, pace things out. You can do one thing, take a break, then take up another thing. You don't have to be multitasking, simultaneously. You don't have to be juggling so many things. You can just sit back and enjoy what you have created and what you have earned, how far you have come. So it's the peace in knowing that you've done everything that you could. You've navigated every situation to the best of your ability that you could. You have been highly productive creating things, whether in your business or the corporate organizations, as much as you could. Even for the family life, in own spheres, you've done everything that you could. Every situation that you possibly could navigate, you did that. And now it's time for you to genuinely find peace, and just enjoy that moment of not doing anything. Just relaxing, not surfing, not watching TV, not, just relaxing with your eyes closed, maybe on the, in some grass, camping, just, tuck away your phone, your iPads, your laptops, everything, and just relax, the kind of relax where you're doing nothing. I feel that some of you might be taking to that, or you probably, need that kind of a break and rest. Well-deserved one. So now I also feel that because you are at ease, you're at peace over here, you're calm, and the entire environment, wherever you are, is probably feeling that, they're feeling your energy, that you are not aggressive, you're not here, there, everywhere, you're not, maybe you're not showing yourself as aggressively, whether at office, but everybody knows like where you're coming from, why you are at peace, why you're not over-aggressive when you're in meetings, or why you're not from one thing to another. It's just that I feel that they appreciate your gentle, calm presence because maybe the situation over there really needs this kind of energy from you. Now, I also feel that other energy, other spirit is about having fun, Others know exactly when to relax, and we know when they relax, they relax. Otherwise, they go swim around, they play around. Other energy in general, like whatever each the other is, it's always a playful energy. And it being over here, I feel that's exactly what you need to do now. Like just enjoy, fully present in the moment, wherever you are. And, enjoying whatever you have built, whatever you have created for yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to have, accumulated so much cash, only then you can be happy. But whatever you have created to the best of your abilities, you know that it's good enough. And having that contentment itself is the biggest, highest achievement of, I feel in today's times. So don't feel guilty about taking this break. It's much needed. Actually, everyone should incorporate a few, minutes or half an hour or 1 hour of not doing anything, not engaging with any activity, just lying down, listening to sudden music, or just lying down, or just out there, walking, or just swimming, or just cooking without any other digital distractions on. And that actually helps, with the productivity. It helps with the overall recovery of the mind and body. And generally, people that take time to relax, they see that they feel better. They, they appreciate. They feel holistically well. They feel more ready for, whenever they are ready to come back, they're more ready to work rather than constant burnout and constant engagement. So these periodic breaks are very, very much needed in today's times. And a lot of countries, a lot of communities, even government level, they are encouraging programs, even at work, like periodic breaks or afternoon nap time or, the cutoff time in the evening when after that time, nobody should be checking office mails or responding or doing any kind of office work like that hard stuff. So this kind of energy is being promoted because the health benefits are being noticed, after certain programs have been implemented and in the office culture, when they see that the productivity has gone up, the satisfaction of employees has gone up, their well-being has gone up, so the companies and cities and everything are making conscious efforts to include such programs so that, people are enjoying the work as well, not just fearing or getting burnt out. So, and also our spirit is all about, relaxing. So detoxing, relaxing, in like whether it's like through salt baths or whether it's through, having a good night deep sleep or sleeping early or walking and, playing outside like sports or activities of biking or hiking, whatever that is. It's just like, being connected to your most centered, rooted, genuine self and creating that space around you, which feels safe, which feels comforting. So you will probably see people feel good in your company when you're relaxed, when you have the time to listen to them. They'll come by, they'll share a thing or two, they'll strike up conversations, they appreciate your slowing down or calm availability in their lives. So I also feel that some of you might be into, wildlife conservations or rehabs of otters. Some of you could be working in those areas as well. That otherwise this has been fantastic, that really happy. For some of you, you might be even looking for spaces that feel like sanctuaries, spaces that are not too glitzy and some, there are some homes, there are some places, some retreats that connect to us at an emotional level more than others. The wingy areas, again, there's constant stimulation and we don't get a chance to relax, but some spaces, whether it's outdoor camps or whatever, they feel so much warm and homely and connected to and rooted to earth and simplicity that it just resonates with us emotionally. For some of you, you could be looking for some spaces for vacationing or just for, buying homes. Even for those of you that are out in the real estate world, you could be buying homes that feel very rooted and connected, emotionally satisfying rather than, a lot of other amenities and all of that thing. So your tastes around that might be changing. Your tastes around, accumulation of things, like what kind of things you're liking. You might be preferring more gentle and subtle things versus the louder, showy things that probably you liked a few years back, but there is a change in the taste as well. I also feel that, with this kind of energy where you're feeling calm, cool, collected, rested, and at peace, in a genuine way, not a performative peace. Whatever you plan for the future, it will come from a very, I would say, a peaceful place, yeah? It's not going to be like a competitive. Sometimes we get into that competitive space or zone where we are looking at other people and kind of working our way in the future, or having plans or making decisions that take us ahead of somebody or equal, or there, some kind of a comparison. But now I feel that whatever decision you're going to make in the future is going to come from a very satisfying space that, okay, I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to compete. I don't need this, that to show anybody, I'm just happy with where I am. So I feel that that there might be a change in the way you do life, or you deal with day-to-day situations as well, coming from a very peaceful space rather than a reactive, or rather than a competitive space. You come from a satisfied and peaceful space. For some of you, this could be taking to some spiritual practices, like a daily ritual or daily practice where you just meditate or yoga or something like that, that just brings in that much needed break from the day-to-day. So for some of you, you could be building some kind of daily spiritual rituals that help you stay calm and centered. And I also feel like for some of you, you're moving a little away from those to-do lists. Like you're not really having those kind of to-do plans running inside of your head, getting weighed down by it. I feel that you're taking it easy. You're doing one thing, and then maybe, after a break, a few hours, or maybe next day you have something in mind, but you're not having those long to-do lists one after another. So I feel there's a change in the way you're planning your day as well. And some of you might actually be retiring. Some of you might be at that point where you are planning your next stage or next phase of your life. Some of you could be changing jobs because you're retiring. Switching from one position to another. For some of you, could be in that space as well. Roger Federer comes to mind with this author spirit, like how, like, when he announced his retirement, he's been like around, for way much longer than any of his peers has been, and now he's like ready to step into a new life, just relax, and, it's like fully happy, fully satisfied with what he has achieved in his lifetimes. And now he knows that it's a wrap and it's a good time to cool and move away. So I feel that some of you could be into the retirement zone as well for some of you. And the last card for today, Pisces, you have a message from Cosmos, and it says, sing like the birds, not worrying about what others think. Be yourself, share your heart, speak your truth. And that's the exact summary of your messages here, Pisces. This is again about sing like the birds. Just say what is on your heart and mind, express yourself in the most genuine way possible. This is all about feeling free enough to speak your heart out, to be heard. Now, for some of you, now that there is this microphone out here, for some of you, you might be, podcasters, you might be musicians, you might be, a spokesperson of some sort, but you might be involved in some kind of communicative projects or activities. For some of you, this could just be creative activities where you're just singing, or you're just singing to yourself, you're singing around, where you don't even care, like, what other people are going to think about me. This doesn't have to be just singing. It could be any crafts, creativity, dances, anything, like, nobody without any cares, right? So I feel like you don't even care what other people are thinking about you. You don't need any approvals. You're just good. You know who you are. You're confident in your abilities. You're unique. You're individual. Each person on this earth is unique, yeah, and I just feel that you are very much being your own true self, very honest, very open with what you want to do with your life, what you want to create, how you want to create, whatever you want to say, however you want to connect with whoever you want to connect. It's that kind of free energy, like not being held back, not being restricted or constricted, being open enough to, to be expressive, to see what's on your heart and mind without fearing what will be the judgment, what are this person going to say or think or do. So you're being quite vulnerable and open, Pisces, which is a very good thing. People feel that being vulnerable is some kind of a weakness. It's not really. It's coming from, for you, it's coming from a space of strength, because with all your energy that we have read so far, you've been there, done that. You've navigated rough waters. You have that inner strength. You've developed it. So at the port, so you know how to navigate, you know who to connect, and you also recognize what genuine connection and honest connections and genuine people are like, because you've interacted with so many people, so you can tell, who's real, who's not. So I do feel that, you're confident in your own self. You're very creative. That's what the 12th house energy is. Water energy is very creative. I also feel that maybe you were kind of processing some things from the past, some experiences, you were healing through it. But now that I feel you've healed through it, you can be yourself unapologetically, You're feeling confident enough to show who you truly are from the core. You're living your truth, you're expressing your truth. And that's the best energy that you can meet. This is a fully aligned soul, a fully free soul, fully aligned soul with the higher self. So great energy here. Pisces, those were your messages, and hope you enjoyed them. So thank you guys for joining. Please subscribe and hit the like if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye for now.